Welcome, my fabulous diamond painting fanatics. I'm DiDi, and thanks for joining me for today's drills with me. Today we're working on the piece you guys voted for. I'm working on the lovely orchids, lilies, whatchamacallit, the one from the Tender Deal store. And I'm absolutely loving it. I'm loving it, definitely. However, I just threw my wax on the floor. Let me get that. Shoving things around, not a good idea. First of all, I would like to thank all of you who subscribed last weekend during the Didiathon. Oh, it was so much fun. Thank you all for joining me for the lives. I did my first live. I was so worried about it, whether or not it was gonna go all right, and I had so much fun, but 2 hours of talking is even a lot for me. So I'm trying to keep it under that today, and we're gonna work on this little section and we'll see how far we go. So far I'm really liking this canvas. The drills, it's a round drill and they are very tight, so there's hardly any room in between the drills, and at some spots it's even warping my canvas a bit, but they're not popping. They're nice and shiny. It looks good. And yes, I'm living the 310 and 939 live again, because all the black up there and here, that is 939 and 310. So it's also a mix of two colors and they look extremely similar to me, but I'm actually pretty pleased that they just mixed it up. And of course, oh, I forgot, get your kits, get ready and let's craft together, because what better to do while listening to a whip and chat drill with me than to craft. And I'm hoping you have a nice craft today to work with me on. And I'm gonna try to record a crafts and chat as well this week. I'll have to see how I'm gonna go on time management, since of course I'm working. I'm actually just out of work. I had a shift from 10 till 7. I really like those shifts, but I had to finish some work for one of my colleagues, so I ended up leaving the hospital at 8. And then I need to go to the post office because I've got a package and it was there since Friday and today's Monday. So it was time to collect. And there are 3 lovely diamond paintings in it, so I'll be unboxing that tomorrow. Somehow flu season came late this year for us in the Netherlands, so we're getting a lot of seriously ill patients in at the moment, which means that the hospital is almost full. So there's a lot of moving patients around, having a full ER, trying to get everything settled, and it worked out today. We'll see how it goes tomorrow, because usually the moment when the first hospital in a region hits full, the rest will follow shortly, because all the patients will be transferred to a hospital nearby. And I think, for those of you who know, the Netherlands is pretty small, so we have a lot of hospitals in a small region, but they're, for Dutchies, they're very far away. Having to drive half an hour is considered a long drive in the Netherlands, to go to a hospital. Usually you'll be in a hospital in around 15 to 20 minutes, so having to drive a half an hour. Yes, some people find that a problem, and I can hear all of you who live in larger countries laugh at me, but that's just the way it is. We're not used to long drives. When I tell my colleagues that I have to drive a little under an hour to get to work, they think I'm crazy. So yeah, that's always a fun thing, and luckily I didn't have the discussion today, but some people will actually get upset when you tell them, well, we need to stay in the hospital, but we don't have any beds available at the moment, so we're going to transfer you to a hospital there and there. They will actually get upset because it's a longer drive and the family is over there, and how could I do that? My first response will always be, yes, I could. It's not really possible to stack you guys in the same bed, so if I don't have a bed, you can't stay here. We don't have bunk beds in the hospital, so yeah, if there's no more empty beds, I'm very sorry, I can't keep you in a hospital, and we're gonna arrange everything. We're gonna transport you, and yeah, it's just the way it is. I can't fix that. And when flu season hits, 9 out of 10 times it's gonna happen, and we're gonna have this issue for a week and a half, and then it will lie down. Last year was insane. I think I worked in the most southern part of the Netherlands then, and I actually had to transport my patients to hospitals an hour and a half away. So that's pretty far considering. And yeah, they were not pleased with that, but yeah, you try to do your best, but it gives a lot of strain on the medical personnel, because yes, you want to do the best for your patient, but you can't make miracles happen. So yes, but it was a fun day at work. I had some cool things I hadn't seen before. So yeah, I had fun, and I got to do some teaching. I love teaching. When you get a medical student in the Netherlands, the last 2 years of your medical studies are in the hospital, so you'll be joining doctors there and learning on the spot. You learn how to talk to your patients, you learn how to do your physical exam. And I really like teaching them how to do things, explaining, asking them questions to make them think. Why would you do that? How? What's the plan? Why, if you say that, why? So that's really something I enjoy doing. But it takes a lot of time, and today I had two to supervise, so it means I have to see my own patients, I have to see theirs as well. I need to check everything, I need to check what they typed, I need to go over it with them, so I need to look at their charts, teach them why they would write something like this, or how they should change it to make it more readable to people. And then in the meanwhile trying to teach them how to treat the patients they're seeing, but it takes a lot of time. So I had 8 patients of my own, and then I had 4 to supervise, and for some you still need to do a lot of work yourself, because they can't admit patients, they can't make make appointments for them, or put in their medication in the system. So you need to do all of that, and yeah, that's a lot of work, because administration in the hospital is most of my work. I hate it, but it's unfortunately it is so. And yeah, that's why I had to stay late today, because I had to go over some things. But luckily they do appreciate it. So we have a medical student that's only with us for a week. He had his first day today, and he actually asked me if I was gonna work tomorrow, because he wanted to join me again. So that's, I think for me, that's one of the nicest compliments you can give me, because yeah, you're putting a lot of time in trying to teach the next generation to how to become a doctor. And for some, you actually need to start with, how should I introduce myself to my patient? How should I talk to my nurses? How should I talk to a patient? Because you're so trained, your entire study, you're trained in medical terms, that they're natural to you. But of course, I think it's a bit different in the English-speaking countries, but we in the Netherlands have completely different words for everything. So when I tell you someone has an appendicitis, you guys know what's wrong. But in the Netherlands I need to translate it, and that's something you really need to learn as a doctor, to communicate with your patients in a way they can actually understand you. And being trained in only medical terms makes it a bit difficult, because yes, what was the word, the normal word for that condition, and how are you gonna explain something that's sometimes very difficult to explain, what you might not even understand very well yourself, but you do have to explain it to your patient in a way they could understand. And why do you do things? And yeah, so that's it. It takes a lot of time. I think it's very rewarding to do, and especially if you see someone grow and they actually take your advice in hand and try to make changes, and depending on their level and how far they are from completing their studies, you get more precise. So when someone's just starting, I'm very happy if he can remember all the questions he needs to ask a patient. And then you can tell them to narrow it down to all the things you want to know. And sometimes they're just short on information, or they think they wrote everything down, and it is, but it's all mixed up. So you need to tell them, well, it needs to be readable for someone. You need exactly to know what happened to what leg, how is it looking, where are the hematomas, where does it hurt. You can't put both feet in the same sentence, because then it's just gonna confuse everybody. So make two little headers, and left foot, right foot. And yes, it means a lot of extra typing, but it's a complete and readable and understandable for the person who's gonna see the patient after you. So yeah, I had a lot of fun today, and tomorrow I'll be teaching some more, so yay! And I'm hoping that tomorrow I'll get off on time. I don't like working late. But I promised a tag question for springtime. Well, trying to find a good tag for spring, that turned out to be a bit difficult. And luckily for me, I found one in Dutch. So it has a couple of questions. How much do we have? It's 10 questions. So we're gonna see how far we get today. When I screened it, luckily it wasn't all about makeup and clothes and stuff, because you know I don't really do that stuff. But we will see how it goes. And I'm really liking the first one. It is, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word spring? For me, that's little lambs and baby chickens. And yeah, flowers in the fields. I grew up in a very rural area, meaning in the countryside. A lot of farms around me. Some of my friends actually lived on a farm. And as a Sunday afternoon thing to do with the family, we would go cycling. And in the Netherlands we do a lot of things by bike. I hate cycling, by the way, but yeah. When you're 2, you get a little seat in front of your parents, so it's attached to the steering part, and you're sitting and you're talking and you're watching. And we used to go cycling to my grandparents. It was a half an hour cycle, something like that. But we would pass these amazing fields filled with flowers, new green springy leaves on the trees, and then we would feed the duckies. And my grandparents always knew that they had a water nearby. And they always went checking whether or not there were little ducks there. And if they were, they would always take us on a Sunday afternoon to go see the ducks, and we could go and feed them. And yes, that's I associate spring with young animals and basically new life. That's the first thing that comes to mind when I hear spring. But isn't there anything cuter than a little lamb or a baby duck? Yes, I love it. I love it. And the most amazing thing I ever saw was when I was studying. When I walked to the train station from my house, I had to pass a single, which is a little canal in the middle of the city. And in that canal every year were the same 2 swans. They always got young chicks, and they would always stay together. So you had to be careful not to disturb them, because swans, when they have young, they might get aggressive. So yeah, everybody knew they were just there, and that's fine. And one day I was going home, and I saw the father walking in front, followed by all his young chicks, and the mom was at the end, and they had to cross a road to get to the water part. And they actually used the crossway. So the footpath crossing, we call it the zebra path because it has white stripes on a black surface of the road, so we call it the zebra. And they were crossing actually the street using that part, and I think so many people just stopped and watched, and they went straight in line all the way across, and everybody just stood still, watched, made sure they were safe across the road. Mostly for the cars, you don't want to hit a swan. It's gonna give a very big dent in your car. You don't want that. But I loved seeing those swans. So yeah, that's one of my fun memories from spring when I was a bit older. But I always enjoyed young animals. Or they would go. My parents would also take me to the petting zoo on a Sunday afternoon. Me and my sister. I loved animals. My holiday was complete. It doesn't matter where we went, as long as we were to visit a lot of zoos, a lot of animals. I was a ranger for the World Wildlife Foundation. I was very active. And I loved anything to do with animals. And for those of you who were in my live yesterday, you might know that I actually wanted to become a vet when I was younger, and then I decided that it was so sad that those animals couldn't say they were hurting and they were too cute and I couldn't treat them, but I did like the medical part of everything. And by that time I started watching CSI, and I really started loving the forensic parts of crime solving. So as a 12-year-old in high school, they asked me, what do you want to become when you're taller, when you're older? And the Dutch way of saying this is when you are tall, meaning when you're big, when you're grown. By the time they asked me, I was over 6 foot. So I was already kind of tall. And then you have this 12-year-old, maybe 13-year-old, standing there extremely shy and saying, I want to become a forensic pathologist. Yes, no, absolutely no adult knew what to say when I told them that I wanted to become a forensic pathologist. They were just, I think their jaws dropped. And of course I got teased by it by my classmates because, yes, it's not the normal thing. But I knew I wanted to become a doctor. And because a forensic pathologist is a doctor, and you just see dead people and find out what killed them or what's going on. At least that was going on in my mind, that would be my job. So I actually went to medical school thinking I was gonna become a forensic pathologist. If I wasn't allowed to go to medical school, I would have started studying science, and then would have done the Master Forensic Sciences. So that's how far I was in me liking forensics. But luckily I got into med school, and in the second or third week we had to go to the pathology lab, and we needed to dissect a human being. And I walked in there. I was there for I think half an hour, and I knew that I could never do that for the rest of my life. I hated it. It smelled very bad. But I already knew that I couldn't quit. because my grandma, she was very proud I made it to med school. But in the Dutch system, there are a lot of applicants for the medical studies. But I think more than half doesn't get in. So there were 3,000 places, a little bit more, in the year that I started. And in the entire country. And my grandma, she actually took a newspaper clip and she framed it for me, and she told me, "You are very lucky that you're in, but remember, there are a lot of people that would want your spot. So you better work hard for it. You deserve that spot." So my grandma made sure that I wouldn't quit. And in the end, I'm very happy that I'm doing what I'm doing now. I like working with my with people that can actually talk back to me. That's nice. Not working in the smell every single day. But yeah, I still like forensic sciences. I do love Katie Reich's books. She's the author of the Bones book series. She is a forensic pathologist, and I love her books because they are medically accurate. So yeah, those are my favorite books to read. And we're just drifting away from the tag that was spring themed. Sorry. But yeah, little sidetracked. Let's get back. We're gonna go back to the tag, and I really like the second question as well. If spring were to have a scent, what would it be? For me, that would be new leafy greens. Fresh grass, the blossoms. Yes, that's for me is the scent of spring. And then of course coat it with a little spring sun to give it that warm hum. Ooh, very nice. So yeah, that's definitely my scent for spring. The only part I do not like about the new scent of spring is that there will be pollen in the air, and I always get a runny nose because of those. Oh well, we can't have it all. I do like the scents. Luckily, I only get a runny nose. I don't get full-blown allergies from them. So that's nice, because full-blown allergies, those aren't fun. I see that in my sister. She's literally her eyes swell up, her nose is blocked, and she really hates spring just because of all the pollen in the air. I'm the fortunate one. Yay! But yeah. Oh, let's see. Ooh, we got a beauty one as well. That's about nail polish. My favorite spring nail polish color. I don't do nail polish. I'm not allowed to, so and I've got too many, and the only place I wear nail polish is on my toes, and I tend to go for a bit darker colors over there. But yeah, so one beauty one. All right. Let's see. Ooh, 4. What's my favorite spring flower? Well, I actually got quite a lot that I like. Of course, I like tulips. They are we have them in so many colors, and they just grow everywhere. Um, we also have a lot of fields where in the past people planted, we call them crocus. There are very small flowers, and even though they were planted years ago, each year they come up. So you can walk into the park and you had an entire field filled with little flowers in purple, blues, pinks, yellows. I really like those. Of course, narcissus. I really like the bright yellow they have, and I love the blossoms on the trees, and they smell so good. And I'm the biggest fan of the white ones. You have the white blossoms you see on apple trees. But yeah, the blossoms. So I really like the flowers. They just pop up in spring. Mostly because years ago someone thought it was a good idea to plant them. And each year they come back up. So yeah, that's very nice. And oh, this was so fun. A couple of years ago I was always driving the same roads to work, and there were always traffic jams at the exact same spot. So you would drive by the same spot slowly, and someone actually planted a proposal with those crocuses on the side of the highway. So yeah, I was extremely curious whether or not she said yes. And luckily I wasn't the only one that was curious. So the newspaper did a little item on it and she said yes. And you could really see her name and then the "Would you marry me?" So it was so romantic. I'm not big on the romance thing, but this was just an awesome idea. And now, of course, each year those words come up, because yeah, the seeds are still there. So each year the words come up, and it's become a running joke a bit, but I think it's a great reminder of how love can be. It grows every year, and if I'm a romantic, then I'm gonna be a true romantic. Yeah, that's just amazing to see. So one of the reasons I like those flowers. And apparently they're very good as food as well. Never tried them, but we plant a lot of those. We always used to plant a lot of flowers, and their seeds are pretty large. And during the Second World War, we had a famine in the last winter. It was very cold, and there was a famine in the large cities, and people actually went to the ground. They got all the flower seeds out, and they're this big. They're definitely big, and they're very full of starch, so you can imagine that even though they might not have tasted very well, they were nutritious, and people ate those in the Second World War. So that's how bad things got for us. Well, at least for part of my family. The Netherlands is split by a couple of large rivers, and my family lives close to the first of those rivers. So I had my father's side lived on the south, which was liberated before the winter, and my mom's side of the family lived to the north, and it's literally just a river in between. So as a child, I really liked all the stories about the Second World War, trying to learn as much as I could about it, because yeah, there's gonna be a time when no one actually went through it, and I want to know what it was like for my family. And my grandparents always talked about it if I had questions, because they thought it was important as well. So they taught me a lot about it, and I had the true two sides of that story, because the southern part, my grandma was playing board games with the Americans and the Canadian, and to the north my grandma was hiding German soldiers who wouldn't want to fight anymore. So that's such a different way they experienced those last months. And with the liberation also in spring, that's also something that comes to mind for me when we talk about spring. We have our national holiday. We celebrate our king's birthday. So we all wear orange and we celebrate his birthday. And then a week later we first have the National Remembrance Day, to remember all the people who died during the Second World War and during conflicts after that. And then the day after we celebrate our victory and our freedom, and remembering all who died trying to give us that freedom. So yeah, it's still something that lives on, and for me personally, I'll always try to at least attend or regard the 2 minutes of silence we take on the 4th of May. Even when I'm working, I try to stop working, if it's possible, at 8 p.m. in the evening, and take the 2 minutes of silence, and then continue my day, but remembering all, which includes some of my family members from my mother's side of the family. So that's also something that's in spring. We remember that, and we remember the family members we lost. My mother's side of the family, they were in the resistance, which means they fought the Germans. They sabotaged just about everything they could, and 2 of my grandma's brothers ended up in concentration camps. They both survived, luckily, but they both came out scarred, and her uncle was shot by the Germans because they caught him. And my grandma was the only one in the family that wasn't joining, because she was the youngest and her mother wouldn't allow her. But yeah, that's something I'm very proud of, and there's been a lot of debates over the years whether or not it helped the resistance or whether or not more people got killed. I'm proud of my family for doing what they thought was best, with the risk they took, and yeah, it's something I'm proud of. Never giving in, staying true to your beliefs, and I try to continue that legacy in staying true to my beliefs, and I hope I'll do them proud. And yeah, maybe more people got killed or it didn't help, but at least they did something. And I think for me that's important, and we'll never know whether or not it helped or not, because we can't change history, and things played out the way it did. But yeah, that's also spring for me. And time to remember and the time to be grateful for the things we have now, and how to try to imagine what I would do, whether or not I would have the same courage as my family did, or if I would just go with the flow and accept things. I don't know. I have no idea. But of course we'll always be grateful for everyone that helped us during that time. So that's gonna be question number 5, because it's gonna be, the question number 5 is again about spring trends. I don't do that. And number 6 is also about perfume. Number 7, that's one I can definitely answer. It's about spring cleaning. Do you do it? Nope. I hate cleaning. Yeah, I try to keep things tidy, but with my schedule and me living alone, I don't mind things being a bit messy. I try to keep things clean, but I'm not gonna go through my entire closet, go through all my clothes. The moment I don't like anything, something anymore, I'm just gonna throw it out. And the moment I think, oh, this should be done, I'm gonna do it. But just the idea of having to clean my entire house just because it's spring, no. I'm getting hives just thinking about it. So no, we're not gonna do that. I applaud anyone who can do it. I know my mom always does. My grandma, yeah, definitely she does. If she could, she would do it. My grandma is the kind of person, she was quite emancipated, so she had a full-time job as a woman. And she had a cleaning lady. And my grandma was the type of person that would actually take down just about the entire house, make it look presentable, and then the cleaning lady would come. Yeah, but you can't have your cleaning lady come to a messy house. She would vacuum clean before the cleaning lady would come in. The first time she came to my place, she actually took her finger and just did like this, and then, you need to clean better. Oh my. I was so upset because I'd been cleaning the entire day and I thought I'd done a pretty good job. I was very proud of myself. And she found 2 specks of dust. You need to clean better. Oh well, I love her. She's amazing. And I should definitely visit her. But she is an amazing woman, and yeah, she has a very good humor. She makes the 18+ jokes. She likes doing the 18+ jokes. And to people who do not know my grandma and meet her for the first time, and then she's gonna tell you some kind of 18 plus joke or things she used to do when she was younger. This, just the face they make when my grandma starts doing that. Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I had so much fun. And yeah, most of my friends who know my grandma also know that she's a pretty awesome old lady. And I hope I'll have her with me for a long while. But she has turned 88 this year. So yeah. And she's not gonna live forever, I know that. But yeah, I'm gonna miss her when she's gone. And so we need to cherish the time together. She's actually one of the oldest people in her hometown. My grandma's kind of woman that never throws anything out. So she has a gazillion old photographs. And she actually got them from other people as well. So she could start a museum, but that was too hard. So she's actually been interviewed for a book about the region in different eras on several occasions, because she's one of the few who actually remembers what it was like, how things looked. She has the pictures. She has an amazing memory, so she can tell you great stories, and she's good at telling stories. So yeah, my grandma is published, so she's there for eternity in book form. So that's very nice. But I just like to hold her every once in a while. But I'm glad I never knew her when she would do the spring cleaning, because I think she was crazy about it. If I see how she still manages, she's at her 88, she's not the fastest when walking, and when the cleaning lady does something not right, she's gonna do it again, even though she knows she can't. But she's gonna do it again because it should be done her way. She has the very nice family trait of being as stubborn as a donkey. And if that isn't a saying in English, it is in Dutch. So I did a very good translation of a Dutch saying. But she's extremely stubborn. And yeah, try talking something out of her head. Not gonna happen. And since all her children and grandchildren are also extremely stubborn, we have a very fun family. Let's see, question number 8. Please give me something new. Good. What is my favorite spring accessory? Is that a word? Same thing. I don't really have something special for spring. But the first thing, the moment the sun starts shining, I need sunscreen. And I need some, what's it called? Glasses for in the sun. Oh my god, I can't believe I can't remember this word. It's at the tip of my tongue and I can't do it. But I hate sun in my eyes, and I hate looking at the sun while driving. So the first thing I take is my shades. Is that a word? And I have got a gazillion because I always lose them. So I've got one in every bag that I own. I've got 2 in the car. I've got multiple near my door. I think I even got one in my sports bag. Yeah, I can't go out without one. And it's very hard for me to take selfies or any picture in the sun with just without my shades on, because I'm gonna call it shades. If it's not a word, I'm sorry, I can't come to it doesn't come to mind at the moment. But yeah, my eyes are too light, so I've got some green eyes, and apparently I can't handle sunlight that well in my eyes. It actually gives me a headache, so that's the thing. I can't go without. And I know you guys are screaming at me for the word, and the funny part is, most likely the moment I end this clip, it will pop in minds and I'll be like, oh my god, that you couldn't remember that one. Next question is whether or not I've got nice plans for the spring holidays, meaning Easter. After Easter, we also have it's called Hemelvaart in Dutch. I have no idea what it translates to, but we've got 2 more holidays, and the last one is on my birthday, so I actually have a long weekend off with my birthday in June. With Easter I've got to work, and the other one I most likely will work as well. But that's okay, it's someone's got to do it, so work, work, work. The fortunate part is I don't have to go to the IKEA on those days. Somehow people think it's a good idea to go to the IKEA, or they go to the gardening centers and buy new plants, and they're overfull and crowded and nop, nop, nop. And since I kill all my plants, so I try to keep them alive, but I'm very bad at it. So, yeah. That's a good thing that I'm not gonna be around to get myself some new plants this year, because they're only gonna die. The only thing that I can keep alive seems to be the weeds. So I was very proud of that. And the last one, and we made it almost an hour-long video. Again, I hope you got some work done. The last question is, describe your favorite spring outfit. Since the Dutch weather could change in like 5 seconds from very cold to very warm, during the spring we wear a lot of layers, so yeah, it's probably gonna be jeans for me. I start wearing my flats or sneakers. In the winter I always wear boots, but in the spring I start wearing my sneakers or my ballerina flats. So I have those on, my jeans, and then a good looking top with a jacket and maybe even a scarf, and then first the scarf goes and then the jacket goes, and yeah, depending on how warm it is, things just go. And we'll be out in the sun with a wine, enjoying the sun. And in 5 seconds the weather could change and everybody's putting on their coats again, so you can see the entire square, like in the main square, when people are having a coffee or a wine or something. You can see everybody doing the same, so that's always a fun thing. The moment the sun is out, we all go outside, have a wine or a beer or some tea, enjoying sun. And then the sun goes away and we start putting on clothes, and then yeah, it's kind of on, off, drink, repeat, on, off, drink, repeat, something like that. It's gonna, the entire day you're just gonna put on layers, put them off. It's part of our life and we're used to it. So layers, lots of layers, a definite essential when living in the Netherlands. And with that, I think we've talked for long enough today. I hope you enjoyed listening. I hope you got some serious work done on your crafts. And yes, I know we YouTubers try to do the 1 hour whip and chat. Well, I don't even try to do it. I always try to make a short one, and then I end up talking for an hour, to the point that my lips are getting chappy and my mouth is getting dry, and I actually still need to eat something, which I've got a very lovely bolus standing here. A bolus is a regional bread, which is kind of sticky, it's kind of soft, and it has a lot of sugar and cinnamon on it. And it's the kind of bread you definitely need to wash your hands afterwards, because everything's gonna stick to it, and they're so good. So those, I'm definitely gonna eat the second one. I already had one, but the second one is just calling my name. So let me get off, let me get something to eat, let me get something to drink, and I hope you enjoyed today. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe, and if you already subscribed, thank you for that, and thank you for watching, and I wish you all a very pleasant day. Happy crafting, happy drilling, and I will be seeing you in my next video. Bye bye.